Sriya, Doris בת ג'ורה, שרה בת לבנה, יוכבד בת בתיה, בתיה בת שרה, נעמי בת שרה, Doris בת ג'ורה, דבורה בת מרסדס, and Esther בת ציפורה. הקדוש ברוך הוא will give them רפואה שלמה, רפואת הנפש, רפואת הגוף. So our series on the Ramban continues. We have a Baruch Hashem, little by little we're learning more and more about what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from us. Now, how do we know that the Chachamim are the ones that have the instructions of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants? Maybe you know better. Maybe I know better. Maybe some guy off the street knows better what Hashem wants. Every time people see one of our videos and they don't like what they hear, whether it's because we say that a Mechalel Shabbat, according to Hashem, is someone that's considered a goy, or if a person wastes seed, whether it's by himself or with a girlfriend because he's not married, and every time they're together it's in essence wasting seed, then he's going to go to Gehenom forever and never come out unless he does tshuva. You know, things like that make people's skin crawl. And it makes them upset if they're sinners. If they're tzadikim, it doesn't upset them. You're never going to see Rav Kanievsky get upset if somebody says Mechalel Shabbat Mot Yumat. You're never going to see him upset. You're never going to see Rav Ovadia get upset if somebody says, you know, if somebody embarrasses another Jew in public, he has no share of the world to come. You're never going to see that. Why? He doesn't do stuff like that. So if you're not a criminal, you don't get upset at what HaKadosh Baruch Hu says. Who gets upset? The criminal. Who are the people that don't like smoking laws? People that smoke. The non-smokers don't care. If they say from now on you have to be 87 to smoke cigarettes, all the people that don't smoke are not going to care less. Well, 87, 97, you should make it illegal completely. But the guys that are smoking, whether they're 13 years old, or they're 30 years old, or they're 80 years old, it's like, hey, you're ruining my thing. I got something going on over here. What are you doing? What is this law? I don't like it. It's prejudice, racist, this, Why? Because you're a criminal. You are the one that they're talking about. So it's very, very important for us to know that when it comes to Torah, sometimes people make comments. And one of the most popular comments that people make when they are the criminal, when they are the ones that hear something that doesn't like, it's like, who made you God? Who made you the messenger of God? Who made you the one that knows what God wants? You know, one of those three versions. How do you know what God wants? That you're saying such and such. And if you tell them, well, it's written in the Torah. Well, how do you know that's what it means? Maybe it means something else. Maybe when it says Mechalel Shabbat, death penalty, it really means he wins the lotto. And to Hashem, winning the lotto is so unimportant that it's like a death penalty. Maybe that's what it means. Sometimes people hear what they don't want to hear, and they try to manipulate the truth to suit themselves. And they say, who's the one that made you know who the truth is? What the truth is? And the most popular one is saying, oh, you know, there's 70 faces to the Torah. This is one of the most commonly used terms that people use in order to justify their shekel, to justify their lies. Why? Because what people think when they're ignorant about that statement that there's 70 faces of the Torah, to them it means that you could pretty much do whatever you want. Why? Whatever you're doing, there's like one of those 70 is your version. As if there's 70 interpretations to the Torah. Like there's a Mechalel Shabbat, 100%. And there's a Mechalel Shabbat, 90%. There's a Mechalel Shabbat, 50%. And then there's a guy that just does it once in a while. And then there's a guy that he doesn't really mean to, but he does it anyway. And so on and so forth. 70 faces to the Torah, as I've explained in previous lectures, simply means that there are 70 things that you can get from the same pasuk, from the same word, from the same paragraph, from the same parasha. But those, all 70 of them must meet the rules of the Torah. Meaning, it cannot simply be you decide one day, oh, you know what? If it's already 70, let me throw a 71. What's the difference? 70, 71, no, who's counting? Or maybe mine is, I don't know it, but maybe mine is 70. Maybe mine is 69. They've been waiting for me to be number 70. There are certain rules, and you're going to read in the Gemara that Chazal, that toiled and toiled over the Torah, mastered these rules and made sure that every single one of their interpretations, every single one of their commentaries, every single one of the alachot that they actually mentioned that made it what we live by today, meets all of those rules. Not some of the rules, but all of the rules. If your chidush, if you will, your new insight, your new novel idea violates those rules, then it's simply toilet paper. That's all it's worth. It's not Torah. It's nice, chazaku baruch, you're going to get rewarded for learning and trying, but you're not going to get rewarded for having a chidush, because it's not a chidush. It's wrong. It's like handing over the test to your teacher and say, teach, I finished the test. You come back the next day, you get the test, 0. What do you mean? You know how long I worked on this test? Teach, I was here for 7 hours. Like the Series 7 I took when I was in the investment business. 7-hour test. Sit there for 7 hours, the teacher gives you 0? Because what's the matter with you? I filled out every question. Every single one of the questions I put C, 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 C. Sometimes A, C, C, C. You know, I had a whole pattern. Even though the things looked like a face of a lion. What's the matter with you? How come you didn't give me a good grade? Because all of your answers were wrong. That's why. The fact that you filled out the test doesn't make it anything. It means you did something, but you did something wrong. The point is, Rabotai, is that in order for us to know what HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants, we're obligated to go to our sages, because they're the ones that have toiled day and night their entire lives in order to find out and uncover what he said. You are not going to know more than them. Why? You may study an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours a day, let's say for 5 years. 10 years, 20 years. That's still going to be the equivalent of 0 in comparison to someone that studied for 60 years. It's still going to be the equivalent of 0 in comparison to someone that lived 800, 900 years ago, like the Rambam or the Ramban. They had different level brains. To such an extent that the smartest human being that lives today, pick whoever you want, whether he's a Jew or not, is closer to a monkey in intellect and mental power than he is to the Rambam. And that's the smartest person. Average person is obviously much less smart than the smartest person. If the smartest person, let's say, has an IQ of 200, like they say this certain mathematician has and a few other geniuses in the world, let's say they have an IQ of 200 or 180 or 170, all these numbers that people like to publicize, no problem. That guy is like an ant next to the Rambam. Now, some people are going to say, wait a minute, the Rambam didn't invent the rocket. The Rambam didn't have to invent the rocket to show us that he's a genius. Why? You look at his work. Anyone that spends enough time toiling and learning what the Rambam actually says will see that this is literally, it might as well, for us in our generation, it might as well be divine. It might as well be God that actually wrote it. That's how much higher it is than anything else that's available to us in our world today, including all the rocket scientists and the mathematicians and the chess players and so on. So, with that being said, how do we know that someone is a chacham? Well, first and foremost, when somebody's a chacham, they, whether they like it or not, before they know it, they get discovered by others through their work. They published books, they wrote certain answers, paskin and certain halachot, did certain achievements in the Torah world that are unlike others. If, let's say, for example, you're 35 years old and you just finished the Shas for the first time, you get a nice chazaku baruch, but you're not considered a Talmid Chacham. You're not considered Da'at Torah. You're considered Chacham, you're good. It's good for you. You did good. But to be Da'at Torah, where you're going to be in the same level of Rav Kanievsky, you're far away from that. Far away. And that's no offense to any of us. I'm included in this equation also. It's just a reality. Why? Because Rav Kanievsky has been doing it his whole life and has gotten to the point, even from his childhood, that he learns the Torah to such an extent that he sees the world from the eyes of the Torah. I'll give you an example. Several decades ago, there was a very famous war in Israel called the 6-Day War. Now, the 6-Day War was one of the biggest miracles that happened to modern-day Israel, because the way it looked is that it was going to be the next Holocaust. That's the way it looked. Everyone agreed, okay, this is the end. How it all turned around was mamash Yad Hashem. There's so many amazing, miraculous stories that happened during the 6-Day War that even sometimes people that were completely secular, soldiers in the army, became completely religious because of the miracles they saw. One guy was on his own in a tank, trying to scout out to see what's going on. Suddenly he sees a whole army of tanks, a whole line of tanks from the enemy, from the Arabs. One after another, I live as if this is Gog Magog. And he is by himself. By himself. Meaning, even if he shoots really, really fast, best case scenario, he takes one tank down, maybe two, before they shoot him to pieces. Now, by the time his friends are going to come, he's already going to be in pieces, squared. They're not only going to be pieces, they're already going to run him over already. So there's no time to get help. Run away, he's going to get attention. What do? He says, Shema Yisrael. So Shema Yisrael. Why? What else? Who else is going to help you? Now, he's not a religious guy. But he says, Shema Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. And as you would have it, he hears in a radio channel that they interrupted and broke into the Arabs channel, somebody saying, it's a trap, turn around. All of those tanks that were coming to Chas v'Shalom conquer that side of Israel, somebody was on the radio, on their radio in Arabic. It's a trap, turn around. They have a bunch of others right behind this one guy. They all turn around right away. Now, till this day, no one knows who said that. No one knows what they're talking about because there was no trap. He was by himself. He was as defenseless as you are right now sitting in front of me. Why? Yad Hashem. Now, when someone came to Rav Kanievsky, he was, at the time of the 6-Day War, he was much, much younger. He was an avrech, a rabbi in a, learning in a kollel. Now, every so often you would hear a tank shoot. You know, a tank shoots, it's like an earthquake. And, you know, the buildings would shake, there would be big sound, even louder than my voice. And he continued learning. He's learning. Everybody else ran away. He's learning his mother, he's learning his... After, you know, things are getting louder and louder, somebody ran in and says, Kvod Harav, there's tanks outside. He says, what's a tank? What's a tank? He never heard what a tank is. He goes, no, it's this big machine, a piece of metal. He goes, oh, so this tank, does it receive Tumah or not? Let's think about it. Does it accept Tumah? Why? Because there's an halacha that at the time of the Bet HaMikdash, when Tumah and Tara was applicable, today we cannot practice it. We don't have the Bet HaMikdash, where in essence everything is impure. But in those days, you were able to purify things. With the Para Aduma, or with the mikveh, and so on. Now, there's a rule that if, let's say, for example, a piece of wood cannot accept tum'ah, cannot accept impurity, unless it has like a pocket inside, a hole inside. So, for example, you have, if the piece of metal, if the piece of wood is, let's say, a broomstick, it cannot accept tum'ah. You can't impure it. But if this broomstick is hollow, or it has like a pocket you could put some stuff in, then it can accept tumah. A piece of metal, on the other hand, like a sword, it can accept tumah even if it doesn't have a hollow. So since Rav Kanievsky didn't know what a tank was and what it's made of, he's saying, so that this tank, can it accept tumah or it can't accept tumah? What is it made out of? Here, it may sound silly to some people, but this is a simple explanation of how the mind of somebody works when all they do is learn Torah. They start seeing the world with the eyes of the Torah. Needless to say, they know what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. Much more than we do. When we don't even know what Tumah and Tara is until today. So, the Ramban has been telling us over these last several months, step by step, sentence by sentence, in his letter, the Igeret Agra, exactly what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from us, exactly what HaKadosh Baruch Hu expects from us. In his letter that he wrote to his son, but in essence, us as well. You learn this letter, and you see that each and every sentence in this letter is a lesson of its own. It's a shiur of its own. So the Ramban, who lived a little over 800 years ago, we got to part of the letter that says, Al ken efaresh lecha ech titnaeg b'midat anava lalechet batamid. The Ramban says, thus I shall explain to you how you may accustom yourself to the quality of humility, to walk with it always. Now, although the Ramban has mentioned humility, has mentioned anger, has mentioned all types of character traits over these last few months in the letter, here he's telling us, now that you got the point, to run away from anger, to run away from bad character traits and so on, let's work on the good traits. Let's work on the things that are going to make you into a tzaddik. If you want to be a tzaddik, this is what you have to do. If you want to be a rasha, ignore this shiur, press skip, and go to something else. Go watch ducks crossing the road. Go watch somebody tell you that you're already a tzaddik even if you don't do something. Like someone told me today, there's this a guy with a long beard on telling people that when you die, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to come to you and say, I'm sorry to you. This is what he says. Our friend Manis. Our friend Manis is this chidush. He has a chidush. When you die, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to come to you and say, I'm sorry to you for putting you to such a tough life. This is what he says to people. Shtabach Shemo. I mean, you can't even, I don't know, what hole did you get this chidush out of? Kafakelo again? No, which one did you get it from? Who told you this? Esav? Point is, Rabotai, there are simple instructions in the Torah, and none of them tell you that you're already a tzaddik by default. Doesn't matter who your father is. Esav, his grandfather, was Avraham Avinu. His father was Yitzchak Avinu. And his brother was Yaakov Avinu. Who has a better family than him? Nobody in this generation. Yet it says in the Torah, Et Esav saneti. Hashem says, Esav, I hate him. So for all of those people that say, oh no, Hashem loves everyone, this is one pasuk out of many simple proofs in the Torah that Hashem does not love everyone. He clearly says he hates them. Why does he hate Esav? Why doesn't he say, I hate Paro? Paro killed millions of Jews. How come he doesn't say he hates Nebuchadnezzar? Nebuchadnezzar destroyed the Beit HaMikdash, killed millions of Jews, made the Holocaust look like child's play. How come there's no pasuk in the Torah that says that he hated anyone else? Pedophiles. Or bank robbers. Why doesn't he hate them? How come he hates Esav? Because Esav had the perfect opportunity to be the biggest rabbi in the world. His grandfather was Avraham Avinu, his father was Yitzchak, and his brother was Yaakov. And the Midrash Me'am Loeh says, originally when he was born, he had the same exact opportunities as his brother, Yaakov. And until they became later time in their teenage years, people could not tell them apart. They look exactly the same. Both yeshiva, kollel, everything was the same. You couldn't tell the difference. If he showed up today, Esav would show up, would look like a mekubal. People would say, Tzadik Bala'ir, start kissing his hand. He knew a lot of Torah. But he still went against it. Why? because he loved his desires. He loved having girlfriends. He loved having eat too much. Like he tells his brother, give me this food, this red food, or else I'm going to die. What do you mean? You're going to die if you don't eat? What does that mean? It means, Rabotai, that he was so obsessed with materialism, it became him. And that's why it says, his name is Edom. Why? Because he ate something Adom. He ate something red, so his name was Edom. So what does that mean? If you eat chulent, your name is now chulent? You eat schnitzel, your name now in Shamayim is schnitzel? Or shish kebab? What is the Torah trying to teach us? The Torah is teaching us that he became so connected to his desires for materialism, that's his name. Anything he wanted. You wanted a girl? No, I can't say no, I love her. Why you love her? You just met her last week. No, I need her. What need her? You need air. What need her? No, I need this. I want this. Like a little baby. A little 3-year-old kid says, no, but buy me this, buy me this. What is it? I want this, the whole store. I need it. What need it? You want it, you don't need it. No. For Esav, he needs it. And that forced him into Genom. Why? You follow all your desires, there's no other place than Genom. Now, Esav had an opportunity to be your father, my father. Because the Midrash Me'am Loeh says originally he was supposed to be a father to 6 out of the 12 tribes. 6 was supposed to come from Esav, and 6 was supposed to come from Yaakov. But because Esav lost his Olam Haba, all 12 came from Yaakov. So Esav had all the opportunities in the world to be a big tzaddik. He lost it. Now, when a person understands that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has certain rules that are not a advice or some type of recommendation, and there is a very heavy consequence if we don't follow it, things change. If you thought it's optional, if some type of bat kol, a heavenly voice came out of the heavens right now that said, from now on, you don't have to keep any mitzvot. You could drive on Shabbat, eat pork with cheese on Yom Kippur, do whatever you want. How many Jews in the world would continue keeping Shabbat, continue keeping kosher, continue doing what Hashem says? How many? How many of you, ask yourself the question, how many of you would continue keeping Shabbat and mitzvot and everything if you heard a voice? Hashem said it. Hashem said you don't have to keep it anymore. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. How many of us will really say, no, I like Shabbat so much, I have to keep it. I like kosher so much, I'm not going to eat bacon with cheese. I like this so much, I'm not going to make sins. How many of us are pretending to be such tzadikim? The reality is, Rabotai, if you think that you're going to continue keeping the laws, there's a very, very good chance you're lying to yourself. Why? Because we're already violating the laws now when we're trying to get to do them. Meaning that we don't have that high of a connection yet. We're only in show number 828 in the series. By the end of the series, it's Tzadikim. We don't have such a high connection. Esav had all the opportunities in the world and he failed. Yaakov had all the opportunities in the world and he passed. The Ramban says to us that if you want to be like Yaakov, you have to follow certain footsteps. The footsteps of tzadikim. What are the footsteps of tzadikim? He says clearly, you have to accustom yourself to the most important quality of a tzaddik, the most important quality of a righteous woman or a man, which is humility. Something that is as rare as it is confused of what it is. People think that if somebody walks around like this, that makes them humble. Or if they talk with a really low voice, that makes them humble. Or if they're really old, that makes them humble. So today, my goal is to, Be'ezrat Hashem, try to explain a little bit more of what humility actually means. Humility is not self-consciousness, meaning a humble person doesn't think of himself as a loser. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't think of himself as a loser. Even though he says, V'anachnu ma, we're nothing. Moshe was a very capable person, that was very strong, beat Og, Melech HaBashan. On top of it, he was very rich. He didn't pretend he was poor. He had the money. He didn't pretend he was weak. He fought wars. He didn't pretend he was stupid. He knew more Torah than anyone else in the world put together. So he didn't pretend like he didn't know these things, but he knew where they came from. That's the big difference. So humility is something that's often confused with a lack of confidence, or something that people think of themselves as something lesser than what they really are. And that's actually the opposite of what a Kadosh Baruch Hu wants. Kadosh Baruch Hu does not want you to think that you're less than what you are. He gave you a certain amount of power, he gave you a certain amount of abilities, a certain amount of skills, and he wants you to use all of them to their fullest potential in a kosher way, in a way to serve him. Now, when the Rambam writes that a person has to walk with humility, he doesn't leave it at that. He says you have to do it always. Meaning humility is not like a physical possession where once you buy it, you have it. Let's say, for example, you have a good job, you made a bunch of money, you make $10,000 an hour, and you decide that you want to buy an expensive car. You want to buy a car for $2 million. Now, if you're making $10,000 an hour, you can afford it. Unfortunately, most people that buy those cars can't afford them. That's why there's a very big secondary market for those cars. But anyway, let's say you make this money, you want to buy the car. Now, this is your dream. Since you were a kid, you wanted a Ferrari. Since you were a kid, you wanted a Bentley. You wanted one of these fancy schmancy cars. You wanted a house with 18 rooms. You wanted all this stuff. And you have the money to buy all of it cash. No mortgage, no loans, no nothing. You walk into the place with a bag of cash. Once you have the car, it's yours. You don't have to worry about it tomorrow of whether somebody is taking it from you unless they stole it from you. You don't have to worry about buying it again tomorrow. You have it, you bought it already. It's yours. That's not how humility works. Humility, the Ramban tells us, a secret, is something that you have to reacquire every single moment of your life. Hence the difficulty of achieving such a lofty level of being called a tzaddik. Now, the Mesilat Yesharim, the Ramchal, Rabbi Chaim Moshe Luzzatto, in his very famous Sefer, Mesilat Yesharim, has a whole chapter about humility, chapter 22. And he says the following, וכשנדקדק נמצא שתלויה במחשבה ובמעשה, כי בתחילה צריך שיהיה האדם ענב במחשבתו, ואחר כך יתנהג בדרכי הענבים. כי אם לא יהיה ענב בדעתו וירצה להיות ענב במעשה, לא יהיה אלא מן הענבים המדומים, והרעים שזכרנו למעלה, שהם מכלל הצבועים אשר אין בעולם רע מהם. In the beginning of chapter 22, when he talks about the virtue of humility, the Ramchal, 300 years ago, writes the following. He says, through the analysis, we will discover that humility is dependent both on thought and deed. Meaning it's not just something that you can have simply by the way you walk, or the way you dress, or even the way you speak. He says that before one can act in accordance with humility, one must have humility of thought. First and foremost, humility starts where? In your mind. How you think about yourself, how you think about other people, how you treat other people, how you treat Hashem, how you treat yourself. It all starts with how you think. Looks can be very deceiving. I've seen people that have a beard 5 times bigger than mine. I'm talking about like a lion. Lion. Guy used to come to my office. French guy, collecting money. He could have built a company from the money I gave him. This guy, after I did tshuva, I discovered is probably one of the worst people on earth. He told me himself, the worst thing I ever did was do tshuva. And he's a rabbi. He told me Worst thing I ever did was do tshuva. Worst thing. My mom, when I was sick, I was in the hospital, I was getting surgeries almost like a monthly basis. I knew all the nurses by first name. So I was in the hospital, and one of the time, the guy would come to my office all the time, and my mom saw him, and she says, why don't you tell him something, maybe he should do tshuva, keep Shabbat, keep something. He doesn't keep anything. You tell him something. Maybe, Hashem wants him to do it. That's why he's getting sick. My mom, God bless her, she was too scared to tell me stuff herself because I wouldn't listen anyway to her because she's my mom and, that's how kids are. They don't want to listen to their mom because we always think we're smarter than Ima. But where would she go to? She went to the rabbi. Why? What's the rabbi's job? To tell people the truth. So she tells this guy, why don't you tell him? He says, no, that's not my job. She says, no, to keep Shabbat, not to go work on Wall Street. Tell him to go keep Shabbat. Tell him to keep Kashrut. Tell him to do mitzvot. He says to her, no, that's not my job to tell him to do mitzvot. It's not my job to tell him to keep Shabbat. It's not my job. She goes, so what's your job? He goes, my job is telling me he's a good person. That's what he says. The job is to collect money. That's what the job is. So here we see that sometimes, even though someone can look very, very humble, and if you see his picture, you're going to think this guy must be mikubal, must be something special. But in reality, Rasha Merusha. And unfortunately, there are others like him. There are many tzadikim in the world also. Or I should say, there are tzadikim in the world. Not many. There are tzadikim in the world. But unfortunately, there's a reason why the Gemara says in several places that Gehenom is bigger than Gan Eden. More people go there than Gan Eden. So here you see that the Ramchal starts off with a clear explanation. Humility starts in your mind, not by how you look. Of course, the looks has to match what's in your mind, but needless to say, if your looks one way, it doesn't mean that you think another. But if you want to acquire humility, you have to start already with psychologically thinking about things the opposite of how we currently think. And he says, one who attempts to be humble, indeed, without first cultivating an inner commitment towards humility, belongs to the class of pseudo-humble and evil people, mentioned above, whose hypocrisy is greater than any evil found in the world. So for all of those that are offended by me calling people Reshaim, you should know, the Ramchal also called people Reshaim. Who are these people Reshaim? They look one way and act another. Someone that acts like, they pretends to be humble, but in reality is not. He says, hi Tzaddik, how are you? Yeah, he talks like that, but in reality he's a lion that eats people alive. All he cares about is the opposite of what Hashem cares about. The Ramchal says, this type of person, this hypocrite, is greater than any evil found in the world. Meaning, there's no other person that's more of a Rasha than him. Including the Mechalel Shabbat, including the person that kills people, physically kills them. This guy that's a hypocrite is worse than him. Why? Because the guy that kills people, he kills people. No one thought Hitler, Yimach Shemo V'Zichro, was a tzaddik. They worshipped him, they made him into some false god, but no one thought he was a tzaddik. Thought he was a hero, not a tzaddik. He explained clearly who he was and what he was. He explained clearly that he wants to kill every Jew in the world, and anyone that goes against him, and so on and so forth. Someone that's a hypocrite, someone that pretends to be a tzaddik, but in reality is not, the Ramchal says he's worse than Hitler. That's how bad it is to be a hypocrite according to Da'at Torah. Now, fake humility is easy to acquire. Takes about 1 second. Real humility takes a little longer. And I'm going to give you a few examples of what humility looks like, because most people think very differently about humility, where they think that, you, like I said before, self-consciousness, you think that you have yourself as a nothing. Doesn't necessarily mean that. It means that and other things. some time ago, there was a riot by the Ethiopians in Eretz Yisrael. It was all over the news. They killed a Ethiopian guy, and unjustly, and unfortunately, the Ethiopians did something that made matters much worse. Started rioting all over Eretz Yisrael, closing down the roads, causing chaos. No different than what happened here in America when the Rodney King got beat up by the cops and it was caught on camera and other things. Now, at that time, since the roads were closed, traffic was difficult to say the least. But during that time, there was actually two weddings, two religious weddings. And the two groups of people arrived. And they both had the weddings in the same hall, same time, next door to each other. You know, one hall. The hall is really, really big. And it has a couple of rooms for a wedding hall. So all that separates the two is in essence like a door. Or, you know, there's like a hallway in between them. But it's a huge, enormous building. So the bride and groom arrive on both ends. The guests arrive on both ends. But the music, the band, only arrives on one. Only arrives on one. Why? Because the band for the other one is stuck in traffic because of the riots from the Ethiopians. What's happening over there? Can't get there. I'm sorry. We're stuck. Dead traffic. It's not even moving. There's cops everywhere. A few people are endangered, such and such. There's just no chance of me coming. Now, one of the guys there was, you know, one of these chevraman types of people, very friendly person. Said, listen, one candle, one light of candle could light for many people. We don't need, it's okay, no problem. What do? He took some wires, connected the speakers to the band of the other guy also. So the same music that was playing for the couple that their band actually showed up, same exact thing was playing for the people that their band didn't show up. So at least you have some music. At least you have some simcha. So anything they heard over there in room A, they heard in room B. And that was how the night started. And they have the music, they have some simcha, the Hasidim are dancing. Of course, everything is separated, like a wedding is supposed to be, because they don't want any shedim to come with them at home. Because that's what happens when you go to mixed weddings. Everyone is having a very good time. You know, Steve and Miriam are dancing together. David and Samantha also dancing together. And the shedim are also dancing with them. And then they go home with them and they stay at their house too. And then they cause them to get divorced. And they cause them to hate each other. Sometimes they cause them to cheat on each other. All types of fun stuff. All types of fun stuff. That's what happens when you go to a mixed dancing wedding. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu cannot attend a mixed dancing wedding. So somebody has to come. Shedim come. Why does Shedim come? Why are they so attracted to mixed dance wedding? Why they don't have a better place in Shamayim? No, you just created them. When you did Gilui Arayot, which is a crime in the Torah, that's a death penalty. It's better to die than to do it. It's one of the 3 cardinal sins. When you do it, what do? You create the Shedim. And no Shedim, they're not going home. Why? You're their father. You're their mother. They want to go home. Abba, Ima, I'm coming home. Go, no, don't you want to go? No, this is where I live. I live with you. Until when? Oh, until you destroy me. How could I destroy you? You have to do tshuva. How could I do tshuva if I went to a mixed dancing wedding? How could I do tshuva if I danced in a mixed dancing wedding? Shem Yirachem. How could I do tshuva if I was the DJ in a mixed dancing wedding? Same exact tshuva as you can do for everything else. First and foremost, learn the significance of the crime. Learn the Torah about it. 2, you can watch several videos that I've made, several videos that Rabbi Mizrahi made, and you pretty much know all the basics that you need to know. 2, you have to say, I'm sorry to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that you did such a horrible thing. 3, make sure that you commit to never ever going to a mixed dancing wedding, bar mitzvah, or any type of event. That even if it's your brother that's getting married, you already have it in your mind, it's better off for you to die than to attend it. That's what the Torah says. Once you do that, you're already 75% of the way there. How can you get the other quarter? The other quarter is a little harder. Why? It involves other people. You have to share this knowledge with other people. Other people that go to weddings, go to bar mitzvahs, go to all types of things. They don't know this stuff. They go, they dance, they have a good time. They don't realize that a lot of the problems that happen right away after these events are because of what they did. Most people don't do the calculation because they don't know, or they don't care to know, or they don't believe. We told one couple to everything I just told you, showed them proofs, the Sefer Hasidim, Gemara, many other things. They didn't want to listen. I think I told you guys this. The wedding was fantastic. Only for the guests though. Why? Because the couple was on the verge of divorce for a few years. Every day they wanted to kill each other. Every single day. Their parents, on both sides, almost died. Right away, right after. One a couple of months later, one a few weeks later, one again 9 months later. All types of horrible things happened to them, one after another, like a domino effect. Everybody's like, why is God doing this to me? Like they're blaming God for their problems. So this, Rabotai, is very, very critical to know. Now, this wedding wasn't like that. The wedding of these Hasidim was like the wedding of Elchanan and Michal. Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu was there, no Shedim. Only Tzadikim were there, no Shedim. No, nothing, everything, Kedusha was there, Shechina was there. B'ezrat Hashem will have more of those. Now, the key is, Rabotai, is that you have Tzadikim, you have different things, and of course the Yetzer Hara has to interfere a little bit. Right? Yetzer Hara has to interfere. So what does he do? Genius idea. Genius. Now there's a minhag that people that live in the Torah world, you have to give kavod to the rabbi. I know this is not common. I know this is a chidush for some people. Sometimes the rabbi, they give him kavod. They say kavod harav. They say, they give him, they do kavod for the rabbi sometimes. I know this is like mind-blowing chidush, but it has a source in the Torah. It has a source in the Torah. You have to give kavod to the rabbi. It has a source. Now, sometimes they give him so much kavod because they know this guy is more important than my father. Why? My father brought me to this world, the Gemara says. The rabbi is going to get me to Olam Haba. That's why halacha is, Gemara says, if there are two people in jail, Shem Yachem, father and the rabbi, who do you free first? If you can only free one, you free the rabbi. The fathers don't like this. Why? But if your father is a Talmid Chacham, then you free your father. Point is, Rabotai, is that these two were having a nice, wonderful wedding. The Shekhinah is there, everything is good. The Yetzer Hara comes with a little trick. What does he do? The rabbi, big rabbi of one of the weddings, of wedding A, walks in, and there's like a siman that the Hasidim give to each other. If the rabbi comes in, change the song. It has to have a special song for the rabbi. And the song says, Yemim al melech mosif, tosif. It's may you increase the days of the king. I mean, who's the king? The rabbi is our king. Rabbi is our Talmid Chacham. So they start singing, Yemim, it's a nice song. I don't have such a good voice or know all the lyrics, but point is, it's a good song. You can hear it on YouTube for free. Anyway, now they're starting to sing because the rabbi came. Somebody touches their beard, DJ gets the point, everybody starts singing, standing up, Right? On the other wedding, they're also hearing that song. Why? It's connected with the cables. But when are they hearing the song? At the same moment, the groom, his old uncle, not a big Talmid Chacham or anything, his old uncle, nice guy, knows a few things, but he's not a big rabbi, influenced the public. No, he's just an old uncle. He shows up at that moment. And the second he walks in, everybody stands up. See, you have the same minhag. They stand up. It's like, wow, that's the welcome. Finally I get the welcome that I've wanted my whole life. Everybody is dancing for the uncle now. Not just the rabbi on the other side. They're dancing for the uncle. he was so amazed at what kavod they gave him. He had a check in his pocket. He was going to give it to the bride and groom. $500. Or 500 shekels, whatever it is. And, he was going to put it in the teva, where they put the checks, where they put all the presents. Now, this also by the chidush for some people. Some people go to weddings, they don't bring presents because they think it's a present, they just showed up. It's not a present you showed up, it's an expense. You go to a wedding, you go to a bar mitzvah, at least pay how much it cost them to bring you. At least pay that. Don't be one of these people that comes to a wedding and you give $25. Bring something, bring enough to cover your expense, $100, $150, depending on the wedding. Obviously, if it's a very rich couple and they're having $1 million wedding, you give according to your ability. But if it's a regular average couple, don't come to the present with like a blender. Hey guys, here you go. Mazal Tov, $29.99, but I got it for sale, 2 for 1. I have one in my house. We have the same thing. Mine's blue, yours is red. Don't do that. Have some manners. New couple, they don't have any money. This is one of the ways usually couples start their life. Now, he comes, he has a $500 check he's going to give to the couple. But after this kavod that he got, Yemim HaMelech Tosif, he takes the envelope, takes the check, rips the check, takes another check. Old timers walk around with checkbooks still. Takes another check, writes 5,000. 5,000. Puts it in the envelope, puts it in the place, and goes, he's as happy as can be. After the bride and groom finish the night, simcha, great, wonderful, they go home. After everything settles down, they want to go, what do we get? What do we get? That's part of the fun part. It's like little kids. What do we get? Oh, Abba gave me this. Oh, Ima gave me this. Oh, this guy gave me only that. Pfft, I'm not going to his wedding. Oh, this one. You start doing calculations. What do they get? What do they get? Then they get to the uncle. The old uncle surprises them. Ooh, what? Ooh, expected a present from uncle, but no, come on. 5,000? Not even that close to him. 5,000. We have to call him. They call him and say, we want to thank you so much for your generosity. Ashrecha, it helps us so much. He says to them, Ashrai, what kavod you gave me. No one in my life ever gave me such kavod that you give for the song and this and that. And I actually originally was going to give you 500, but I saw how much you gave me kavod. I said, no. These are a special couple. I'm going to give them 5,000. So the couple said the story to a couple of friends of how it happened, how Hashem made certain things happen, and the music really happened at the same time he came in, and he took it as if it's kavod for him. No big deal. He got the kavod. In the religious world, what happens? In the whole world. It gets to the other couple. The other couple hears it, the ones that provided the music. They find out, they call, hey, listen, we heard, and we're sorry, but there's a very serious mistake here. We didn't get our 4,500 yet. What 4,500? He says, your uncle gave you 500. That's what he came with. But because of the music that we provided, he gave another 4,500. Who did he give the 4,500 to? To us, because we provided the music. He said, Ma pitom, 4,500. What are you talking? He gave it to us. No. Okay, we'll go to Din Torah. You have a problem, you go to Din Torah, you go to Tamid Chacham. People sometimes will sell their parents for money. What are you guys are saying? Wow, this is not even nothing. But that's what happened. They went to Din Torah. Originally, they went to Rav Levinstein, Rav Shlomo Levinstein. He's Talmid Chacham, has fantastic shurim on the internet in Hebrew, and lots of chidushim. He has a fantastic series about David HaMelech. I didn't watch the whole thing, but a few things that I watched, he has a lot of chidushim. Anyways, a very serious Talmid Chacham, and they come to him. Now he can't deal with nonsense. He got mad at this question. He goes, are you serious? No, come on, leave me alone with this silly, stupid question. Go to somebody else. Go to Rav Zibelstein. Rav Zibelstein is 85 years old, Talmid Chacham Atzum, wrote the commentary on Stech Hemed, huge guy, 85 years old. He has a face, mamash, a malach. And he's an expert on complicated issues. Expert. Things like this, weird questions like this. Who does the money belong to? Of course, halacha is that it belongs to the couple that got the present, not the ones that provided the music. That's really the halacha. Halacha is they don't have to give them anything because they didn't really provide the music especially for him. They were benefiting out of it also. They didn't do it specifically for him. So, and it's unintentional, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to go into the deen of why they don't have to give them anything. But the point is that this actually happened. But what musar can we learn from this story? So Rabbi Ephraim says there's a few things you can learn. First, look how much money a person is willing to pay just to get a little kavod, just to get a little respect, a little honor. He came with 500. You gave him a little honor. You stood up for him. You sang a little song for him. You did a little chazaku baruch for him. 5,000. Meaning he's willing to pay 10 times. 10 times just to say, give me a little respect. This is why people that are professional money raisers, or what they call in the political world, power brokers, they know exactly how to get to your heart, how to get to your ego, make you feel good about yourself, make you feel like you're $1 million or $1 billion, or depending on what your net worth is, maybe $100 billion, whatever it is more. People that know how to collect money, they're experts at it. They make you feel like you're the best in the world. Now, the guy is willing to pay 10 times the amount just to get a little kavod. Hence, the inner desire of every normal human being of how much we like it. When people tell us, good job. When people tell us, you're the best. When people tell us, there's no one else in the world like you. You want shlom bayit? Tell your wife everything she cooks is the best food in the world. Yeah, but I don't really like it. Do you want to stay married? Or do you want to tell her the truth? Which one is it? You want to tell her the truth? Then you'll be divorced. You want to stay married? Tell her you like it, even if you don't like it. And eventually, you'll grow to like it. Now, guys, sometimes they treat their wives like they treat their guy friends. This is a perfect recipe for divorce. Perfect. Like if you want to get divorced, treat your wife just like you treat your boys. Just like you treat your sons. Just like you treat your friends. Just like you treat your coworkers. Just like you treat the guys that you have a couple of drinks with. You treat your wife just like them, for sure you're getting divorced. Guaranteed, or your money back. Why? She's not your boy. Yeah, but we're friends. Yeah, but she's still not that. If you want your wife to simply run away every single time you walk into the room, tell her what you think of certain physical features you don't like. Too fat, too skinny, too this, too that. I don't like your hair. I like your hair. I like your eyes. I don't like your eyes. Or best yet I've ever heard. A guy told his wife he doesn't like how she is when they're alone doing the thing. He doesn't like it. I told him, you're going to get divorced. He goes, no, she understands me. He got divorced. A few months ago, got divorced. From that day, she ran away from him, and eventually she left him. Why? An animal is better than you. Doesn't speak. Makes it better. You spoke, already worse. Why? Because the garbage that came out of your mouth ruined this girl's confidence for the rest of her life. Another guy pretends to be a chassid, the guy that used to come here and make a mess. One time he came to me and asked me for relationship advice. So I asked him, so why does she run away from you? Why doesn't she want to be with you anymore? He said, it's a big deal. I just cursed her out a bunch of times. And I did this, and I did this, and I did this, and I told her. And he told me some of the things he said to her. I said, you should be in a mental institution or in jail for what you said to this poor girl. You traumatized her. He goes, Mom, what did I do? I just said some word. What's the big deal? I said, what you said, I'm not even going to repeat it. for your kavod, what you said traumatized this girl. She will never, ever be the same. You simply murdered this girl. She will never be the same. She has to simply reincarnate to go back to what she was before you said that to her. Some guys don't think it's a big deal to say some of this stuff. Abutai, woman does not have the same heart as a guy. You can make fun of a guy in a lot of different ways, and most guys won't take it personal. You say one little thing about a woman, finished. Sometimes they'll keep it in their stomach, and sometimes they won't say something, but they'll cry as soon as you leave and forever. But the way that the relationship is, it just goes downhill from there. So, you see, Rabotai, is that the way you treat people, the way you talk about them, it's very, very important to be generous when it comes to compliments. Compliment your wife, compliment your kids, tell them you love them, tell them you care about them, tell them they're good. They need it. Everybody needs compliments, including you, including me. Everyone needs compliments. Once in a while, everyone needs a little bit of, you're doing a good job. Everyone needs it. The difference between someone that's normal versus someone that's sick is when someone lives for those compliments. When someone cannot tolerate not being complimented, even when he doesn't do a good job. The guy expects to be complimented for showing up to work on time. What do you want? A cookie? Or you want us to do like a theatrics every time you show up at 8 o'clock? Here he comes again. To say, what do you want? You're working for UPS. What do you want? I had guys in my office when I was on Wall Street. They say, how come you never tell me I'm doing a good job? I said, what did you do? Did you make any money? He goes, no, but I always come on time. I said, I pay you to come on time. That's the compliment. If I didn't like it, you wouldn't get paid. You'd be fired. People want compliments for things that they're supposed to do, or better yet, people want compliments for things they're not doing, for their potential. That's a sick person. But everyone needs compliments. Everyone needs a little bit of, you're doing a good job, you're going in the right direction. Everyone needs it. If someone works, and does everything they're supposed to do, and no one ever recognizes what they're doing, it starts eating them up, naturally. It starts being painful. He never appreciates me. He never says I'm beautiful. He never says I'm cooking good. He never says I'm taking care of the kids. He never says nothing. She doesn't say I'm doing a good job, how I'm paying for this, I'm doing this. She never says anything. There's no compliments in the house. Little by little, the relationship becomes more like roommates. You live together because of convenience, because you don't want to pay all your money and all your savings to divorce lawyers. When there's no compliments in a relationship, in essence, it eats up the relationship, it eats up the love, and it gets to a point where you're roommates out of convenience until there's a better roommate available. This is what happens in the world. Same goes with employees, same goes with bosses, same goes with everybody, students. Everybody needs a little bit. But again, the difference between a healthy and a sick person, healthy person needs it, but not for nothing. Not for all the time. Just whenever, certain times. A sick person lives off of it, where they have to make sure that if they ever did a mitzvah, if they ever did anyone a favor, they publicize this on CNN, Fox News, CNBC, and even PBS that no one watches. They publicize it on every single news network. They want everyone in the world to know they gave $2,000 in tzedakah during Rosh Hashanah. They want everyone to know they finished their Shtay Mikra and Chat Targum, that they read the Chumash today, or tomorrow, and last week, and 3 weeks ago, and they're already 3 weeks in a row they're reading. They want you to know, hey, by the way, you know what I did today? I read the Chumash. Oh, okay. Next week, you know what I did today? Did you read the Chumash? I read the Chumash. Okay, good for you. You know what I did today? What? I read the Chumash. Okay, the Chumash says, so give me something new. I read the Chumash, give me a chidush or something. Like, what'd you get out of it? They want you to know they're doing something. These are sick people. Sometimes people do it, unintentionally. They don't mean anything, any harm by it. But if you see that a person is constantly telling you about their achievements, in essence, every time you see them, even if you know them for 5 or 10 years, they're constantly giving you their resume of all their achievements. They worked here, they do here, they know this guy, like name droppers. Do you guys ever meet name droppers? People that say to you, oh yeah, you know where I just came back from? Oh, I just met such and such, some billionaire. Oh, and by the way, I know his son. I'm best friends with his son. His son, meet him, and he starts dropping names, and he starts telling you all the people he knows. They don't know him, but he knows them, and he tells you a whole list of the Forbes 500 of how he spent the weekend with them. These people are sick. They're sick people. Pray for them. Pray for them to hopefully wake up one day, not finish their life so sick. It's very sad. Because it's a very spiritual disease. Now this guy, this uncle, got so much kavod, fame was worth 10 times more. All of us would pay for a little kavod. Question is, how much more? The second Musar lesson that we learned from this story is that if a person deserves kavod, he deserves it. In Shamayim, they decided, you deserve kavod. There's nothing in the world that will stop it. Meaning, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give this person the honor that they deserve, and no one can get in the way. Which means that this uncle actually deserves this honor. Now, he never expected to get any honor. He never thought anybody even thought of him that way. He never even thought anyone knew that he did anything useful to get such honor. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu obviously agreed that he deserves a lot of honor. And because he deserves a lot of honor, Hashem made all types of things happen in the world in order for him to get it. Last part is, if someone deserves a certain amount of money, no matter what you will do, they'll get it. Yeah, but they just, their business is down. So, they'll still get the money. Yeah, but they just got this. It doesn't make a difference. If you deserve a certain amount of money, if Hashem on Rosh Hashanah decided that you're going to get $5,000, it doesn't have to come from your day job. It doesn't have to come from a usual circumstance. That's the problem that constantly tortures people when it comes to emunah. Because we limit Hashem to the things that we know. So people complain about money because they assume that, number one, they deserve a lot more than what they're getting. And number two, that there's no way for them to get more without doing something themselves to help Hashem. Like they have to work a second job, or they have to work on Shabbat, or they have to do like a side gig that's not really 100% legal, or they have to do something that's, they may lose their job on. And they have to wheel and deal. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, if I want to give you a certain amount of money, no power in the world will stop it, and there's no way that you're going to be able to figure out how I'm going to give it to you, because I could literally change nature itself to make all of these come true. If you deserve a certain amount of honor, or you deserve a certain amount of kavod, you deserve a certain amount of money, guess what? I can make a bunch of disgruntled Ethiopian Jews cause a riot. Why? Because the riot is going to cause what? The band to not show up because they're stuck in traffic. And on top of that, I'm going to make one of the guys really be a friendly guy and say, you know what, guys, what do you care? Let me just connect the wire from your speaker to that speaker. And incidentally, the hall just bought that wire 3 days before. And on top of that, what I can do, aside from giving the hall the idea to go buy this wire that they usually don't need, what else can I do? The same moment that the rabbi arrives, the uncle arrives. And the uncle has his checkbook on him too. Here, Rabotai, if you think all of this stuff is a coincidence, you're spiritually sick. You see Yad Hashem, the hand of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, literally manipulating nature, manipulating the creation, manipulating the world exactly how he wants it, like putty. For what? To give the couple a few extra dollars that he decided they're going to get, and to give the uncle a little bit of kavod that he deserves, but he's not going to get anywhere else. HaKadosh Baruch Hu literally can change nature and does change nature in order to fulfill his will. A person that limits Hashem in how he can help you, or how the opposite, chas v'shalom, is a person with a very sick emunah. It's an emunah that's sick because you're limiting Hashem, the unlimited. Now, so you see here, Rabotai, is that when a person is trying to acquire anava, he's trying to acquire the humility, first and foremost, he has to understand that he has to have a complete belief in HaKadosh Baruch Hu running the world. He has to be a Talmid Chacham in Ashgacha Pratit, in divine providence. Hashem monitoring and managing your world, and He's watching you at all times, which means that you're under camera at all times. So you don't have to worry about whether they see you or He sees you. No, you have to worry about Him seeing you, because He is. If you truly understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is watching and recording you, automatically that lowers your ego. If you know that there's cops down the road on the highway, automatically what do? You slow down. Slow down. Yeah, but it's 65. No, let me just go 55. Yeah, but you were going 90 2 minutes ago. Yeah, no. You know what? I just have this sudden urge to go slow. I want to be safe. Suddenly he wants to go 55. Why? Because he knows the cop is around the corner. If you know, mamash know with knowledge, know just like I'm in front of you. You know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is watching you, automatically it humbles you. So first thing to learn is humility requires a certain amount of emunah. Further, the Steipler Gaon, Rav Kanievsky Sheikhye, his father, his name was the Steipler Gaon, or nickname, Rav Yaakov Kanievsky. He wrote in Sefer Chaye Olam. He had a Sefer called Chaye Olam, in Chelek Aleph, Perek Chaf Zayin, 127. And I'm going to read you verbatim the translation of what he says. Know this: anyone who did not acquire the trait of humility has no concept or perception or understanding of the value of humility. But not only this, even one who has acquired the trait of humility for a certain time frame and understands the lowliness of himself, how low he is, but lost this humility as a result of distraction or making a sin, again the concept and significance of humility disappears from him until he nearly has no concept at all of its significance that is known to the ones who know it, meaning known to the ones that are wise. This, Rabotai, is the reason why the Ramban writes, Lalechet batamid, that with humility, you have to constantly have it. Constantly work on it, both mentally, physically, psychologically. Constantly act a certain way, constantly talk a certain way, constantly look a certain way. Because even if you acquired humility, you understand your lowliness, you understand that the second you get a stomach ache, the second you get a headache, the second you get a toothache, no matter how many muscles you have and how many layers of cubes you have on your stomach, you become a nothing. The second you're constipated, no matter how smart you are and how high your IQ is, you're suffering. The second your toenail has an ingrown toenail. Your ingrown toenail, all the money in the world that you have means zero because of the pain and agony you're dealing with. The moment a gun was invented, the strongest man in the world became useless. People spend all of their time today to fight. They have all these shows on TV, UFC, Ultimate Fighting Championship, and so on. This guy punches that one, this guy punches that one. They try to kill each other, but at the end they hug each other. It's, and people they do it for a living. At least they're getting paid for it. Not exactly this, we recommend this, but the point is that at least they're getting paid for it. The silly part is people trying to act like them for free. They spend all of their time in the gym. They start pushing tires like they're the next championship guy. The guy's taking it as he changes his tire. He goes, you know what? Instead of throwing out this tire, let me flip the tire a few times. He thinks he's Rocky. He starts running in the street without his shirt on, and he sings the tune, and he says, and he's got his love handles are going on the side, hitting the floor with his fatness, but he thinks he's Rocky. He starts going like this. He starts punching into the air because he thinks he's a champion. He got to the top of the staircase. He puts his hands up because he thinks he's strong. It's a joke. But you know how many people do this every day? Every time you see a person running around immodestly, that's what they're doing. You see a guy running around the street. He's jogging. Now, jogging is good. You want to exercise, right? No problem. But if he's jogging or she's jogging immodestly, the theatrics I just did for you, that's what they're doing. What are they doing? He's walking around with he's 65 years old, but he's walking around with no shirt on, as if it's good looks for anybody in the world. He's walking around with no shirt on because he started exercising 6 years ago and he looks like he's still alive. This guy, in his mind, he's Rocky. In his mind, he is the champion. She starts running around with Shem Yachemo kind of clothes. What does she want? Attention. Look at me. I'm running. Get attention. These are sick people. These are very sick people. If it was allowed, I would tell you to look at them, just to give them at least some meaning to their life, unfortunately. But it's not allowed. Not allowed. Now, humility, Rabotai, is a person that's not looking for attention. He or she is not looking for credit for everything that they're doing. In fact, they're constantly trying and working on becoming a better version of themselves. And the Ramban says that even if you acquired humility for a moment, you worked on yourself, you realized that your lowliness, that in reality, you and everybody else in the world came from a putrid seed, and you and everybody else in the world is eventually going to be lunch food for maggots. You don't think of yourself as better than anybody else. If you have more money, Hashem gave it to you. If you're smarter, naturally, Hashem gave that to you also. If you're better looking, you didn't create yourself. Hashem created you. He's the one that made you better looking. You don't think of yourself as better than anyone else simply because of something you did not do on your own. When a person works on their humility and realizes where they stand, even though they acquire a little bit of humility, there's no guarantee that that humility will be available to you tomorrow. Why? Because you could lose focus for a moment and think the new chidush that you got on the weekly parasha makes you a Talmid Chacham. So when somebody tells you that Rav Ovadia or Rav Eliashiv or one of the Gedolei Ador says such and such, you already think of yourself on such a lofty level. You're like, no, I don't agree with Rav Ovadia on that one. No, I don't think Rav Eliashiv knew what he was talking about. You know, he's older. You already, why? Because you got a chidush on the parasha that actually may meet the requirements. You already think you're Da'at Torah. You gave 1,000 lectures in 5 years. You're like, no, I'm Da'at Torah. I'm Gedol Ador now. You actually start believing the comments people say on the internet. People say sometimes, cute comments on the internet, compliments. It's not all curses. Sometimes they actually say nice things. And, and sometimes people send this to me. It's like, oh, look, this guy said, you're the smartest guy in the generation. I start laughing. I said, oh, they have no idea what smart means, if they actually think I'm smart in a generation. You have no idea what a Talmid Chacham is. Talmid Chachamim, Alvai was a Talmid Chacham. Now, I don't know nothing. I work on something, but it's not, I can't be delusional and think that I'm at the level of how people sometimes describe me. Same thing, anyone that actually knows what wisdom really is. Once you discover what wisdom is, at least to some capacity that you have, you realize how far you are from it. This is why in the entire Gemara, doesn't matter how big the rabbi is, the entire history of Am Yisrael, no matter how big the rabbi is, he's always called a Talmid Chacham. A Talmid Chacham. What's a Talmid Chacham? A wise student. Because the more you acquire Torah, the more you realize how much more there is for you to learn. So the Ramban says, you have to go with this humility always, because it's not something that once you acquire it, it's yours. if you don't go with it always, you could easily fall in a second. When you don't understand your own loneliness, you don't understand your own vulnerability as a human being, you don't understand your own risk to lose everything in a second, you start imagining yourself as someone that you're not. You simply become what the Ramchal told us, as someone that literally lives an imaginary life. This is why the Ramban says that humility starts with your mind. Many times people tell me, I want to be this. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be the most famous speaker in the world. I want to be a billionaire. I want to be a rabbi. I want to be a Talmid Yeshiva learning 18 hours a day. And sometimes you say Chazak Baruch, but more often than not, you say, Hashem, please help them. Why? They're imagining that they are at that point that they could even aspire to such a thing. For example, someone asked me a question a few days ago. He says to me, he's a nice guy, doing tshuva, but he has a lot of yetzirah. So he told me himself, he's like, listen, I'm living in both worlds, 50-50. Sometimes I'm like going all full out. I watch the shiurim, I learn, I keep, I this, I that. But then, yetzirah shows up. It's a girl, it's a this, it's the guys, it's work, it's money, it's this. And all of a sudden I'm going back to my old self. And he says, I think my only solution is to go to yeshiva full time. Full time to go to yeshiva. That way I'll beat the yetzirah. Now if he was 16, 17, 18 years old, I'd say, you know what? Go for it. Go for it. You're 16, 17 years old. Go for it. Yeah, you go. You're still going to school anyway. Still in the learning stages of your life. Go for it. But if you're 40, 50 years old, doing that is a mistake. Why? In order to go from 50-50 tshuva, barely learning, sometimes even a half hour, an hour a day, to go to learn the yeshiva, where you're going to be learning 10, 12, 13, 14 hours a day, I'm sorry, my friend, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it a week. Why? Because you're still connected to this world, and to completely separate from it in one shot is too severe for most people to survive. Although there are survivors that sometimes are very, very kitzoni, very extreme, and they make the change in 1 second, but it's very rare for them to last. Sometimes a guy can go to yeshiva. He goes from nothing to yeshiva full time. All of a sudden, the guy's yeshiva for a year straight. 2 years straight. Then he says, okay, listen, I got to go back to making money. My savings is zero. I got to go, I got to do stuff to eat. He goes back into the regular world, and you start seeing the guy quickly fall into his old days. Fall back into Yetzirah. All of a sudden, he's a Mechalet Shabbat again. All of a sudden, his tzitzit goes off. All of a sudden, the kippah gets smaller and smaller every week. All of a sudden, the beard comes off. That's why I always tell people, you need tshuva, don't grow a beard. Grow your neshama first, before you grow your beard. It's not something that, people think the exterior is what makes you religious. One of the biggest jokes available for me, for my personal entertainment, is to see how non-Jews that say they want to convert look like Hasidim before they even converted. To me, it's pure entertainment. It makes me sick to my stomach a little bit, but sometimes I laugh too. Depends how I'm feeling, what's my mood for the day. There's a few of them on the internet that I used to be connected to until I got sick of it, and I just blocked them now. Because not only do they pretend to be Jews, they must look like Hasidim. You look at them, if you don't know who they are, you think this guy was born with the payas, the beard, the hat, the whole thing. He's not even Jewish. He starts talking to you in Yiddish. Says Yiddish words. He doesn't know what it means though, but he heard somebody say, he heard the rabbi in a shiur say some Yiddish word, and he says it. Habibi, even if you converted tomorrow, you're still not allowed to use those words. You didn't come from there. That's not your heritage. It's not connected to you. It's not connected to you. What do you do? You became a Zeigazund. What's Zeigazund, Habibi? What is Zeigazund? What's to you in Zeigazund? When did you become a European? What's Zeigazund? What does it have to do with you? It's a joke. Or best yet, they start criticizing the rabbis. That's the best one. They criticize me or Rav Mizrahi or some other rabbi. No, the Rebbe said this, or Rabbi Nachman said this. It's always people that are fanatic with Chassidut that do this. Because Chassidut is the one that you could see the most, the exterior. The exterior effect of Chassidut is the most. You could have some of the biggest Talmidei Chachamim look like average, regular people. They have a kippah, they look respectable, but they don't look to you like they're Gdolei Ador. But you see one of these people that's a faker, his payers reach the floor, his beard can sweep the floor, everything, the hat reaches the moon, everything. He wears a nice jacket that reaches the floor like he's a Rosh Yeshiva. Why? Because all that stuff you could just get with money. Changing your neshama requires a lot more than money, though. But it's for entertainment purposes, but sometimes it's sickening. It's sickening because these people live literally an imaginary life. Their imagination is so far from reality, they start picturing themselves and viewing themselves as Talmidei Chachamim. They start rebuking the public or the rabbis that have toiled for years and years to acquire some type of Torah, but them with their diaper amount of Torah they've acquired in the few years that they've been learning, no, I don't agree with this rabbi. His shita is not good. It's not good. Starts criticizing. This, Abutai, is a very, very dangerous ailment. Very dangerous ailment. Why? That person can think like that for the rest of his life. It doesn't mean just if he's a Kav. Sometimes it's Jewish people. A lot of times it's Jewish people I'm talking about. Where they live an imaginary life. I had a guy come to me one time after a lecture. And we start talking. And he lists, I don't even know how many complaints against me. Oh, you do this and you do that, and we talk about this, your voice is to this, and you talk about that, you did that. He didn't say I'm doing like I made mistakes in the Torah. But my way and how and who and what, it didn't meet his needs. And he started complaining, yeah, and I spoke to my friend in New York, and he says, I told him about you, and he says he doesn't like you, and then I tried to get you to come to this shul, and they said, no, he's not for us. So you see, people don't like you. I said, well, I don't know, according to statistics, they kind of do. 2 million minutes a month, I don't know, who's watching it? Pikachu. Of course you're going to have some people that don't like it, but if you look at the statistics, you're wrong. But I don't say that stuff. I simply listen to this guy give me criticism of the world. So after he finishes with his criticism, I ask him, so why do you come? Why do you watch my shiurim? No, I like you. I just think you get better. I said, okay, well, no one else likes me according to you, and everything that I'm doing is not your fit. Why don't you become a speaker? Why don't you do a better job? You could speak so much better. You have such a better voice, and you go do it. He goes, no, you don't know what I'm doing. He starts doing all this pantomime. No, you don't understand. I help so many people. I'm like, how many people you help? How many people you help per day? How many people you help? No, you don't understand how much I do. I'm like, I know I don't understand. But how much do you do? How much? How many people you deal with today? No, you don't understand how much I do. I said, okay, fine. How much do you do? I don't understand. You're right. How much do you actually do? You don't understand what I know. I know I don't understand how much you know. But how much do you know? Tell me. For an hour and a half straight, this is the way this conversation is. I thought I was talking to a mental patient. People live an imaginary life thinking they are much greater than what they really are, thinking they can do a much better than anyone else that's at least trying, simply living an imaginary life. A guy comes into a shul on his second day of tshuva, already expecting the rabbi to cater the shul to him. A woman walks into the community for the first month. She's already rebuking every single woman that's wearing a wig. Why? Because she decided to put a mitpacha because she likes it. Not because of Hashem. She starts rebuking everyone. Take it easy. Take it easy. First, go along. Then get along. Then go along. You have to do certain things in time. Focus on yourself. Stop living this imaginary life. This happens to all of us. At every single moment in our life, there's a little obstacle where we start thinking that we're better than we are. I could tell you it happened to me quite a few times. I told you guys the funny story of I was sure that Hashem was going to talk to me, right? I know it's for educational reasons, but I really thought it was. I was on the 35th floor. I mean, I thought I was closer to God than anyone. 35th floor in New York. I didn't know it was really getting over there, but I thought it was good. So I was in the city, 35th floor. I'm doing Itbodedut. Itbodedut in the freezing cold of winter of New York. I'm doing Itbodedut, 35th floor, crying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I was sure there's going to be a voice coming from heaven. Yaron. It's you. I've been waiting for you. Why didn't you come 3 hours ago? Why are you making me freeze? Okay, I guess it's required. I was sure something was going to happen. Imaginary. All of us have it. I make fun of it because I want you to feel comfortable because it happens to you too. It happens to everybody. How do you eliminate this imaginary life? You learn more Torah, you learn more Musar, and you understand what great really means and where you stand in comparison. Don't compare yourself to losers. Compare yourself to winners. If you want to be the best, you have to compete with the best. Not with a bunch of people that are missing half their limbs. You have to compete with people that are better. You have to understand that that's how you get better. But when you live an imaginary life, unfortunately, you are restricting your own growth. Because you already assume that you know enough. You're doing enough. You don't try to become better. Because you already think of yourself as good enough. And this is one of the sicknesses that's one of the most deadly diseases known to man because it's undetectable by anyone other than you. Everyone else could know it, but no one's going to tell you and you're going to listen. You have to know for yourself that you're living an imaginary life because no one knows what's in your mind. They know what you say and it sounds like crazy, but a lot of people are not going to tell you. A lot of people are not going to tell you that you're crazy. They're going to tell you, oh yeah, Chazaku Baruch, wow, what a tzaddik, as soon as you leave. Don't invite him next time. Don't invite him next time. It's not from us. It's not like us. This guy's, he left us long ago. He's already, half of him is in Olam Haba. Just not sure which side. You have to get to know yourself. Know where you stand. Now, Rabbi Yitzchak Elchanan, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, was such a gadol b'Torah that the Brisker Rabbi, the Rav Soloveitchik, which was one of the Gedolei Ador himself, would come to him and say, Kvod Rav, tell me what the Psak Halacha is. Tell me what the Halacha is, but don't tell me the Tam. Meaning, don't tell me the reasons of why it's yes or no. Just tell me what it is. Why? Hearing Torah from you, it's like Moshe Sinai. I don't need to know how you got to this conclusion. I know it's Moshe Sinai from you. That's how much of a Chacham he was. The one of the Gedolei Ador comes to him and says, just tell me yes or no. Like he's a little student, like he's 8 years old. Rabbi, am I allowed to eat this? Rabbi, am I allowed to carry in my when there's no Yeruv? What if it's just outside of my house? Rabbi, am I allowed to go here? Am I allowed to go there? He's like an 8-year-old, 10-year-old. This is one of the Gedolei Ador says to another. Now, Rav Yitzchak Elchanan, he was a giant Gaon, wrote several books. One of his books is called En Yitzchak, and many others. Now, he was discovered as one of the Gedolim already, early on, and when he decided that he wants to publish a Sefer, all of the Ashirim, all of the rich people of Kovna, of Lita, all these different countries in Europe and Russia, they all were competing. They were competing to donate for this book. Why? They wanted to be part of this Gedolei Ador's Torah. But one guy was looking to make such an enormous donation. He was going to be responsible for literally everything. Publishing, workers, selling, advertising. He wanted to take the whole thing on. He was very, very rich. And he wanted to meet with Rabbi Yitzchak Elchanan. So when he came to him, Rabbi Elchanan looks at him and he says to him, your name is Yaakov? He says, yeah. He says, Cohen? He goes, yeah, Kvod Rav, you know? Yeah, you used to go to the yeshiva, many years ago. This specific yeshiva. He says, well, Kvod Rav has Ruach HaKodesh? No, it's not Ruach HaKodesh, no. He says, I'm sorry, but I can't take the donation from you. I don't want your donation. We're talking about a guy, sometimes you do a fundraiser, and, sometimes you get like a nice one donor that, gives a nice amount, and then there's a bunch of small donations. This guy wanted to take the whole pie and a half on his own. But the Gadol Hador says, no, I don't want your donation at all. I don't want your donation. So this guy Yaakov says, why? Because my name is Yaakov and I'm Mishpachat Cohen. What's the... Why? Why not? He says to him, you remember in your yeshiva, there used to be a little kid, a little poor kid that used to come to the yeshiva. People used to make fun of him. He goes, yeah. What do you mean? Yitzi, the Batlan. He goes, yeah, Yitzi, the Batlan. You remember that kid? He goes, yeah, poor kid. Yeah, you used to make fun of him, just, have a laugh a little bit. Yitzi, the Batlan. Why was it Batlan? Oh, he used to learn Torah. He didn't hang out with the guys. Didn't have fun with us. Always learning. Nerd. He says, you remember one time, Yitzi came to you and he said, you just bought new shoes. You bought new shoes, so he asked you, can you please give me your old shoes that you're not using anymore? Because I don't have shoes. So can you give me your old shoes? And you were stingy, like, why should I give my old shoes? Go get a job. Go buy your own shoes. I'm going to have these second shoes as reserve in case something happens to my new shoes. Why do I have to give you my shoes? And Yitzi told you, yeah, but I don't have any shoes. My feet are bleeding in the snow. To go an hour walk every day to come to the yeshiva, my feet, by the time I get here, they're bleeding, they're puffy. Please, give me shoes. It's not the shoes now. It's the old ones that you put in the closet you're not going to use. Like, no, hey, get out of here. Yitzi, go. You remember that? So the guy's embarrassed a little bit. He kind of didn't think anybody else knew the story. And he says, yeah, Kvod Rav, I remember. So Rabbi Elchanan says to him, that kid, how many times he got sick because he was walking around barefoot in the snow? You know how many times he was bleeding excessively? You know how many times he couldn't even learn Torah because of the pain and agony that he was in, because you were stingy on your shoes. The guy feels even more embarrassed. He's like, yeah, it's my fault I have to give my shoes. He says, do you understand how much Torah is not available in the world today because you didn't want to give him your used pair of shoes? Because he could have learned Torah instead of laying down in pain and agony. But he couldn't learn Torah because you didn't want to give him your shoes. So there's less Torah in the world because Yitzi, the Batlan, couldn't get your shoes that you weren't using. And I can't take your donation. I don't want your donation because I'm Yitzi the Batlan. I'm Yitzchak Elchanan. You could have bought your Olam Haba with a pair of used shoes. Today, I don't want anything from you. When a person wants to acquire the trait of humility, one of the most important characteristics of a humble person is other people. How are they feeling? How would this make them feel? What can I do for them? Why is that naturally the act of a humble person? Because an arrogant person, the opposite, all they can think of is themselves. When an arrogant person looks in the mirror, they only see themselves. They never see the problems that are behind them. They simply see themselves. That's all they care about. A humble person is the exact opposite. A very similar story happened in a different part of the world, where a person came to Rabbi Ovadia, older guy, 7 years old or so. And he came to Rabbi Ovadia, and he told Kvod Rav, I need some type of sgula or something, because my legs have been hurting me for 50 years. Went to doctors, hospitals, no one knows, diagnosis, nothing. Maybe the Rav can give me some type of sgula or something so I can get rid of this pain. Rav Ovadia says, and what's your name? He says, Israel. He says, you're Israel from Mishpacha such and such, the family of such and such. He says, yeah. He goes, oh, you used to go to, you grew up over there, right? Which is normal in Israel. Everybody knows where everybody grew up, whose family is this. He goes, yeah, I was grew up. Wow, Rabbi knew. Yeah, you were in that family, you went to the yeshiva. He goes, yeah. He goes, oh, there's no cure for your leg pain other than tshuva. What? You hurt somebody. And that's why you have leg pain. I never hurt anybody. Oh, Ovadia says to him, you hurt someone, and that's why your legs hurt. For 50 years. Kvod Rav knows something that I don't know. He goes, think for yourself what you did. So, I don't think. Why? My wife? He goes, no, not your wife. My parents? He goes, no, it's not your parents. It's not your parents. My colleagues, my brothers. He goes, no, think far, before the leg pain started. 50, 60 years ago. He thinks, he goes, what? When we were kids? Yeah, there used to be this kid in the school. Poor kid, I don't know, he had his shoes were open. They were ripped. He couldn't afford buying new shoes. So his shoes were open, so I used to call him the hippopotamus. Why? Because his shoes were always open, like the mouth of an hippopotamus. That? He says, yeah, that. That's why I have pain in my legs for 50 years? He says, yeah. He says, yeah, that's why your legs hurt for 50 years. He goes, how does the Rav know? He says, I was the kid. You embarrassed me in front of the entire school. You know how much I suffered because of that? You couldn't afford more shoes. But you embarrassed me in front of everyone. That's why your legs hurt for 50 years. So the people that get offended when they hear that the Chachamim say, when you do something wrong, Hashem punishes you in different ways, whether it's pain, agony, having certain children. People get offended by this. They don't realize that Hashem punishing you in this world is actually kindness from Hashem. It's kindness from Hashem. And the reason why is because if Hashem is punishing you in this world, it simply means He's trying to remove that punishment from your account so you don't have to get punished in the next world. When some people read what the Arizal says in Shara Gilgulim, in his Sefer Shara Gilgulim, he says that there are certain people that make certain sins and Hashem reincarnates them in certain ways because of what their sins are. If they sinned with their eyes, they looked at immodest women, they looked at immodest things, they could come to this carnation as someone that has problem with their eyes, problem with their legs, and so on and so forth. People get offended by this. Oh, how dare you say that about autistic kids? How dare you say that about people that have sicknesses? How dare you? It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But that person, by him having that deformity, it's actually kindness from Hashem. It's not that you pray for it, But it's actually when you think about it and you understand where you stand in the creation, where you're the creation, he's the creator, and he only did this to you because you did something first, and it's better to punish you here than punish you in an eternal world, because the punishment here is temporary, whereas the punishment there can be eternal. Eternity is much longer than 70, 80 years. You realize this is kindness. You suffer 50 years, 60 years, 10 years, 5 years, whatever, 5 weeks, instead of suffering for 5,000 years, 5 million years. Anyone that understands the math says, oh, this is Baruch Hashem. That's why the Gemara Masechet Brachot says, you're supposed to thank Hashem for good and for bad the same way. But it's a high level of emunah, a high level of understanding where you stand in the creation. Now, the problem that we have sometimes is that we don't understand where we are in the creation. We don't understand why we get certain punishments, why we have certain difficulties. And we ask questions like, why did Hashem do this to me? Why did Hashem do this to me? Where is Hashem now? Meaning, automatically, we assume Hashem is wrong for doing whatever it is he's doing in our life. There's nothing more arrogant than that. Why? By saying that this such bad thing that's happening to you is wrong. You shouldn't have lost all your money. You shouldn't have gotten sick. You shouldn't have such and such, whatever happened to you. Why is Hashem doing this to me? What is that really assuming indirectly? That you're perfect, that you don't deserve it. Are you really so sure? You looked at the entire Torah? You looked at the entire Torah and you compared every one of your attributes, every one of your behaviors, every one of your mitzvot in comparison to Torah, and you are Malach Hashem, you're perfect, you don't have to fix nothing? En tzadik shelo. There's no such thing as a person who doesn't sin. Everybody sins. Some big, some small. Why do people think this? For a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is, like I said, their imagination leads them to believe that they're much greater than what they really are. They live an imaginary life. They live a life where they think that they're much more righteous than they really are, much smarter than they really are, much better than what they really are, and they simply do not know what they're supposed to be doing even. This is the majority of the reasons of why it's happening to us. Sometimes it's because of false teachings, like we've mentioned in the past and warned you on time and time again, where people tell you that Hashem is going to apologize to you versus you apologize to Hashem. The Creator, the King of Kings, is going to come to you and say, I'm sorry, instead of you saying, I'm sorry to Him. This comes from a imaginary to the 10th power. It's now next level. Making the arrogance get to such a high degree that you've actually turned the Creator into the slave. Shem Yachem. Now, one of the things that we'll see is that the closer people to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the more they know Torah, because the more you know Torah, the closer you are to Hashem. And the closer they are to Hashem, the more humble they become. And the more they fear Hashem. Meaning the opposite of the ignorant. The ignorant walk around with their chest sticking out, thinking, Olam Haba is my father's. I own the place. You want a place? I got you a place. Don't worry, it's on me. They think they could get everybody else to a new suite in Olam Haba. The guy does not even know Aleph Bet yet. He doesn't know Modeh Ani Lefanecha, but he's for sure, guarantee I'm going to heaven. Why? God understands me. But yet, people like Rabbi Yashiv, Rav Ovadia, the Steipler Gaon, David HaMelech, Avraham Avinu, Moshe Rabbeinu, scared to death. Now who knows more? The guy that is buying people sweets in heaven that he doesn't even own? Or even know what it looks like? Or Moshe Rabbeinu? The Ramban says in a different place, Ma larofim Bebet Yirat Hashem. What's to doctors, for someone that's afraid of Hashem? Meaning, someone that's truly afraid of Hashem doesn't go to doctors. Now, l'chal ma'aseh, we're not at that level. Chachamim say, we are not at that level to not go to doctors. Why? We don't have such a high level of emunah and yirat shamayim that we are simply going to believe that Hashem is going to cure us, even if it's Hashem Yirachem, some type of serious disease. So you go to doctors. Hashem created doctors for a reason. You're allowed to use them. But what does it feel like or look like when someone does have such high level of Yirat Shamayim and doesn't go to doctors? Does that mean they don't get sick? The opposite. There are some people in the world that don't go to doctors because of the Yirat Shamayim, not because they're crazy. But most of them are not known to the world, meaning they're not famous. But there are some famous stories that came out on Chachamim. One of the examples is on the Chacham Anatziv Mivolozhin. Anatziv Mivolozhin was Rav Naftali Tzvi Yehuda Berlin Mivolozhin. He was the Rosh Yeshiva of Yeshivat Volozhin. To give you an understanding of what does it mean, you hear this Volozhin name often. What does it mean to be the Rosh Yeshiva of the top one of the top yeshivot, if not the top yeshiva in history? What is it like? In those days, this yeshiva only catered to the best of the best. What's the best of the best? The best of the best today means your father has a certain amount of bank account. If your father has a few $1 million to donate, you're the best of the best, even if you don't know Aleph Bet. In those days, Mamash is the best of the best. What's the best of the best? The admissions test to Yeshiva from Volozhin was that you had to memorize 250 pages of Gemara by heart. And you were tested on it word for word. Most people have never read a page of Gemara, and even the ones that have read the Gemara don't remember one daf by heart. This young teenagers had to know 250 dafei Gemara by heart. Today, they're few and far in between how many people would even be accepted to such a yeshiva. They exist in the world, Baruch Hashem, but very few. Very few. He was the Rosh Yeshiva. He was the Rosh Yeshiva of Yeshivat Volozhin. And he had such a connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that he would not go to a doctor. All he would do, anytime he would get any pain, he would analyze where the pain's coming from, and he'd analyze what sin did I make with this part of my body. If his legs hurt, he says, wait, did I go somewhere instead of going to learn, instead of going to shul? Did I go somewhere that I shouldn't have gone and wasted time? If his eye hurt, did I look at something inappropriately? If his tongue hurt, did I eat something that I shouldn't have ate? Any type of body part hurt him, he would analyze the body part and say, okay, what sin did I make with this body part? Do tshuva, and it would stop hurting. Meaning self-diagnosis, but also provide the cure. But one time, he got sick already for a week. Such agonizing pain, didn't even know where it's coming from. You know, sometimes you have pain, may you never know it, that's literally your entire body hurts. I know that some parts of my life, Baruch Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me the merit to experience pain that's very, very interesting to talk about, because I know that as much as I describe it, you won't understand. It's like explaining to a blind person what blue looks like. Oh, it's like green. So sometimes I feel like literally there's, instead of blood, there's lava under my skin. It's not fun. So such pain is not fun. So sometimes when you have such pain, it's literally your whole body hurts. You can't think, you can't function, your arms hurt, your legs hurt, everything hurts. You simply cannot, you feel like you're dying, but you're alive still, and it's like slow death, but you kind of hope that something happens. It's one of those. And you never think it's going to be over. Sometimes when a person has a really bad toothache, it almost feels like that. Sometimes when somebody has a really serious headache, it almost feels like that. Now, the Netziv Mivolozhin had serious pain for a week, to the extent where his wife said, that's it. You got to go to the doctor. You don't want to go to the doctor because you don't want to waste time from Torah. I'm going to bring the doctor here. And she brings the doctor. The doctor comes, analyzes him, diagnoses it. He goes, okay, this is where the problem is. Take this medicine, and everything should be fine. The Rav looks at it, looks at the prescription, reads it for a moment, rips it up, throws it in the garbage. The Rabbanit looks at him and goes, why? Why do we bring the doctor if you're not going to go buy the medicine? He says, no. For a week now, I'm trying to figure out what hurts. What body part is the one that's causing all the problems? The doctor helped me. How? He told me where's the damage coming from. So now, all I need to do is do tshuva for that body part, and the pain will go away. All I need to know is where's the pain coming from. I just had so much pain, I didn't know. Didn't know where it's coming from. That's what it means to have such yirat shamayim that you don't go to doctors. If you have such a high level of yirat shamayim, don't go to doctors. Why? You are malach. But if you don't, keep going to doctors if you have to. There's other shame you don't have to. So a person like this is a person that not only has anava, not only has humility, but has yirat shamayim, has love of Hashem, is living according to it. And how do we learn that from this story? Because to have such a high level of focus of what to do and how to do in this world that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created, to know that all you need to do is to fix the sin that that body part made, to have such a clear focus on your mission in the world, you must possess all of these attributes. Many times we mistakenly and arrogantly come to Hashem with complaints because we don't do cheshbon nefesh. We think that we got a flat tire because Hashem hates us. We think that we lost our money because Hashem is punishing us. We think that something and such happened because there must be a mistake, because somebody took advantage of us. He stole my money. She took it. We blame people instead of ourselves. We don't do cheshbon nefesh. And that stems from arrogance, the opposite of humility. Because we assume by default we're perfect. Now, a person that has humility, Rav Ephraim explains, has no complaints whatsoever about Hashem. The less complaints you have about Hashem, about the difficulties that you have in your life, not the good things. Who's going to complain about good things? Oh, Hashem, I only made $1 million this year. Who's going to complain about that? Sick people. If you have yirat shamayim, obviously you're not going to think like that. I'm talking about a person that has humility, true humility, high level of humility. The difficulties in their life, they're not going to complain to Hashem about. Why? They know that all of this is happening for your own benefit. You have done something wrong. Hashem is trying to build you and get you out of the hole that you've put yourself into. And the reality is you understand your position in the creation. You're here to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not Him here to serve you. But one of the greatest ways that a person can show that they have humility is by expressing it in how they care about other people. Making sure that you never hurt anyone, making sure that you think about other people, making sure that you think about other people to the extent where you think about, will such and such embarrass them? Not if, will I embarrass them if I say something? No. if such and such event happens, will it embarrass them? I'll give you an example. One time a Jew sees that he's in Bekneset, and he says, he saw that one of the guys in the Bekneset came late. And this guy is a regular. He's not like a new person. He's a regular in the Bekneset, but he happened to come late. So by the time he came, everybody was about to finish Amidah. They're about to finish Amidah. So he was just starting Amidah. And he was standing right next to him. Now instead of sitting down like everybody else after Amidah, he decided to stay and continue as if he's praying. Why? He thought to himself, wait, he is the only guy standing now. Which means that if anyone that didn't see him come late is going to see him now because he's the only one standing. And they're going to think, see, this guy's late. He's not even that religious. That guy, I'm not going to invite him to the Siyum Shas. I'm not going to do it. They're going to start having their Yetzirah, giving them thoughts in their head about this guy because he was late. Maybe the guy is late because something happened on the way, his wife was sick, his kids, flat tire, problems with work, 1.5 million reasons. Why should he be embarrassed because he's late? But if we're both standing, they're not going to make fun of both of us. And even if they do, it's not a big deal. It's not the same. They're not going to focus on one of us. They're not going to. So now I'm going to stand next to him. Why? Because now 2 people are standing. He's like, what do you assume? They're just slow prayers. These are the Tzadikim. These guys, their Amidah is longer than everybody else's Siyum Shas already. There you go. They're Hasidim. 3 hours. Why? Because there's 2 people standing. So he continued standing next to him the whole time. Now, this is caring about other people. It's not about your friend. It's not about your partner. It's not about your son or your daughter. It's simply caring about another Jew, simply caring about another human being, and how other people perceive them. If certain things happen, that means that you have to constantly think this. It's not something that just happens where, this guy just fell, let me pick him up. No. You have to think, what could happen if he falls? You have to remove your own self from your equation and start thinking about other people constantly. That's one of the greatest signs of somebody that's humble. Now, someone asked Rabbi Ovadia, some questions. One of his, I think it was his chavruta. That's some questions. And Rabbi Ovadia, he got to the topic of Olam Haba. Rabbi Ovadia says, that's the book. It says in the Gemara, Ashrei Adam, praiseworthy is the person that arrives to heaven, to the judgment of heaven, with his book in his hand. So, Rabbi Ovadia says, Rabbi Ovadia, who wrote many, many books, Baruch Hashem, says, that's the book that I'm going to take with me to heaven. So, the Chavruta says to him, Kvod Harav, it's what? The Yorei De'ah, Yechaveh Dat, all these famous books that he has. No. That one. Which one? Go that one. Go get that one over there. He takes the book out. It's like a journal. What's in a journal? All the people that he helped do tshuva. All the kiruv that he did in his life. That's the book. I can't wait to take the Shemaim. Yeah, but all the halachot, the psaks, the big things, that's good. That's good. That's all good. But this is what I'm taking to Shemaim. All the people that I helped do tshuva. All the kiruv that I did in my life for 90 plus years, all that stuff, that's what I'm taking to Shemaim. The Torah is huge. But these are neshamot that are going to learn that Torah. Why? It shows you care about other people, not just about yourself. Doing kiruv and helping people do tshuva and get closer to Hashem by doing mitzvot, by coming to shurim, by keeping Shabbat, by keeping kosher, that is one of the greatest things that a person can do in order to develop the character trait of humility. Because it forces you to help a bunch of strangers, not just the people that you care about and you know. If you're truly doing kiruv, you're doing it in every opportunity that you can. Sometimes it's your best friend from 25 years ago. Sometimes it's your brother or your father. Sometimes it's just some stranger that looks Jewish and you go into a conversation with him and says, "Are you Jewish? Oh, why don't you come to the shiur? It's an Aventura. It's the guy that yells, but he's kind of nice anyway. Come to the shiur." Next thing you know, this guy becomes a tzaddik, she becomes a tzaddikah. By doing kiruv on a regular basis and contributing to helping people do tshuva, whether it's by bringing more people to the lectures, publicizing them and sharing them on the internet, donating your maaser on a regular basis to it where they could use this money to help more and more people do tshuva, you're showing Hashem you care about other people that are even not connected to you. You're thinking about other people's olam haba, not just yours. You're thinking about and you feel bad about other people not going to heaven, so you're trying to help them get there. You feel bad about people not knowing the truth, so you try to bring it to them. Not because you're trying to be right, but you're trying to save them. You're trying to help people that don't even know they're sick. Now we'll finish with this. Finish with this example to give you an understanding of what it means to be truly humble and care about other people. There was a gathering of women, about 1,000 women got together, Jewish women, Orthodox Jewish women, to get some chizuk. Chizuk, emunah, kosher event, one rabbanit after another. The last rabbanit that went on really got people excited. Got them excited. Got them really so excited, they started singing a song. They started singing a very famous religious song. V'zakeni legadel banim ubnei banim. May you give me the merit to raise children and have grandchildren that are talmidei chachamim. Umeirim et haolam betorah u'maasim tovim, that will bring light to the world with their Torah and their good deeds. And now 1,000 women start singing this well-known song. And all of them are excited and passionate. But then there's 2 women that are just talking. And one of them especially wouldn't shut up. She is saying jokes, another joke, another joke, another joke, and then she starts talking about politics. And a few of the women's like, "Come on, it's exciting right now. Shh, shh. Either sing or shh." She ignores them and she goes, gives her more jokes and more politics and more of this and more of that. Nothing, as if nothing in the world's happening. And she is excited about her politics and our jokes and talking to this other person. And some of the girls are, they're upset. Finally, they get to the end of the song. And one of the women couldn't hold herself, and she came over to her to rebuke her. "Sister, excuse me, but you couldn't find a better time or a better place to talk to your friend and give her jokes and politics and all the things that you were saying? I mean, so many women here are singing. You got chizuk about Hashem and so on. Now you talk to your friend about all this stuff?" And she says to her, "Let me tell you something. My friend has been married for 20 years. But the doctor's saying that she'll never be able to have a kid. She hasn't had any kids, and she will never have any kids. She can't have kids. And I knew that my friend, if she was going to be involved in the emotional song that you are all singing together about having kids and grandkids that are talmidei chachamim, that are bringing light to the world, that would simply destroy her. Because she says, what kids? What light to the world? I'm living in darkness. I have no kids for 20 years. And And I know I annoyed some women with my jokes and my politics. But I had to do whatever I can to steer her attention away from what was going on. Because if she was going to be involved, it would have destroyed my friend. So although I annoyed a few women, I'll take that sin to heaven. And I'll show Hashem what I did. That, Rabotai, also comes from humility. Where you're not thinking about, oh, you know what, I like this song. Let me sing along with everybody else, because my situation is, I relate to the song. When a person is humble, they naturally think about other people. How they will feel. How they can feel. And they act based on that. So as we can see from here, the Ramban is telling us that humility is much more extraordinary than simply being a guy that puts his head down and makes himself seem like he's some peasant. There's a lot more when you delve into humility. Be'ezrat Hashem, this will give us enough chizuk to understand the significance of humility so we could start acquiring it more, we could start chasing it more, and understand that acquiring this trait is simply acquiring Olam Haba. Baruch Adonai Leolam, Amen ve'amen.